Do you know what really frustrates me? Watching people put money into the stock market like they are putting coins into a slot machine, while ignoring the fact that they have credit card debt charging them 22% interest. That debt is just sitting there growing. It's like trying to fill a bucket that has big holes in the bottom and wondering why it never fills up. Hi, I'm Mike. I teach people about money, personal finance, and investing. If you want to control your money better, subscribe now and press like if this video helps you. Here's something that might surprise you. Recent data shows that 1 out of 3 Americans does not have an emergency fund. The average amount Americans have saved for emergencies is only $500. $500. That's less than most people's monthly car payment, and it's even lower than the $600 average from just 1 year ago. At the same time, these same people ask me if they should buy individual stocks or invest in cryptocurrency. That's like asking if you should buy a Ferrari when you don't even have enough money to fix your current car. The truth is, there is a smart order for investing your money that can save you tens of thousands of dollars over your life and help you reach financial freedom much faster. But most people ignore this order because it isn't as exciting as picking a popular stock or trying to guess when the market will go up or down. They want to jump straight to the fun part and skip the boring basic steps that really matter. Today, I'm going to explain the exact order you should follow when investing your money, step by step, so you can earn more while taking less risk. And I promise some of this will surprise you, especially why getting your employer's matching contribution should come before almost everything else, and why health savings accounts might be one of the most powerful tools that most people ignore. But before we get into the steps, let me explain why doing this in the wrong order can cause serious problems. Imagine you are building a house. You would not start by choosing fancy lights and expensive countertops if your foundation was cracked and your roof was leaking. But that's exactly what many people do with their money. They get excited about investing in a trendy ETF while still carrying high-interest debt that will cancel out any gains they make. The cost of making this mistake is huge. Every month you wait to pay off credit card debt that charges 22% interest is another month that debt grows faster than almost any investment you could realistically earn. Every month you ignore your employer's matching contribution is free money you are giving up. And every month you put money into a taxable investment account before using your tax-advantaged accounts is money you are giving to the IRS when you don't have to. Before you invest even $1 anywhere, you need to build an emergency fund. I know this sounds boring. I know you would rather hear about which stocks could make you rich. But this is more important than you think. An emergency fund is not just about paying for unexpected expenses. Even though that is important, it also gives you peace of mind and helps you avoid making bad financial decisions when something unexpected happens. If your car breaks down or you get a surprise medical bill, having an emergency fund means you don't have to sell your investments at a bad time or go into high-interest debt to pay the bill. The big question is, how much should you save for emergencies? The usual advice is 3 to 6 months of living expenses, but that range is very wide and not very helpful. The right amount depends on your situation. If you have a stable government job with strong benefits, 3 months of expenses might be enough. If you are a freelancer in an unstable industry with no safety net, you might need 6 months or even more. Here's what I suggest for most people. First, save your first $1,000 as quickly as you can. This will cover most small emergencies and give you some peace of mind. Then, aim to save 1 month of living expenses. After that, keep saving until you reach 3 months of expenses. This makes a big goal feel easier by breaking it into smaller steps. Here's something interesting that many people don't know. Research from Vanguard showed that people with at least $2,000 in emergency savings had financial well-being scores that were 21% higher than people with no emergency fund. That was the biggest improvement connected to any financial factor they studied. $2,000 may not seem like a lot of money, but the peace of mind it gives you is very powerful. Once you have your emergency fund, the next step is very important. You must pay off all high-interest debt before investing anything else. When I say high-interest debt, I mean anything charging more than about 8% per year, although this can change depending on market conditions. Credit card debt is the biggest problem here. Investing while carrying credit card debt is like trying to run a marathon while carrying a heavy backpack full of rocks. From a math point of view, paying off debt with a high guaranteed interest rate gives you a guaranteed return equal to that interest rate. This is often higher than what you can realistically expect to earn from the stock market after paying taxes. Let me explain it clearly. If you have $5,000 in credit card debt at 22% interest and you only make the minimum payments, you will pay almost $2,800 in interest over 5 years. That is money that could have been helping you grow wealth instead of costing you money. Every dollar you use to pay off that debt is like earning a guaranteed 22% return, which is even better than Warren Buffett's long-term average return. The best way to pay off debt efficiently is simple. Make a list of all your debts with their interest rates and minimum payments. Pay the minimum amount on all of them. Then use any extra money to pay off the debt with the highest interest rate first. This is called the debt avalanche method, and it saves you the most money based on math. Some people prefer the debt snowball method, where you pay off the smallest balances first to feel motivated. But the avalanche method saves more money overall. Now here's where it gets interesting. I already mentioned that there is one major exception to the rule of paying off debt before investing, and it is so important that it becomes the next step in the correct investment order. If your employer offers matching contributions to your retirement plan, you should contribute enough to get the full match, even before you finish paying off high-interest debt. This might sound strange, but the math supports it. Employer matching is basically a guaranteed 100% return on your money up to the matching limit. Even if you have credit card debt at 22%, getting an instant 100% return usually makes sense. It's like finding money on the ground, and your employer says they will double it if you pick it up. Here's an example that will blow your mind. Your employer might match 50 cents for every dollar you contribute, up to 6% of your salary. If you earn $50,000 per year, you would contribute $3,000 to get the full $1,500 match. That's an immediate 50% return, plus whatever your investments earn over time. No other investment can guarantee that kind of return. The important thing is to contribute just enough to get the full match. After that, use your extra money to continue paying off high-interest debt. Once your debt is fully paid off, you can increase your retirement contributions. This plan helps you get guaranteed returns while also reducing the time you are paying high interest. There is one important thing to remember about employer matching. Some companies have vesting schedules. This means you must stay with the company for a certain amount of time before you fully own the matching money. If you plan to leave your job soon, make sure you understand these rules. However, even with vesting requirements, employer matching is usually still worth it because of the high return. Having an emergency fund, paying off debt, and getting your employer match forms the strong base of your financial life. Without these steps, everything else you do with investing is like building on unstable ground. Once these basics are in place, we move to what I call the tax optimization stage. This is where things become very powerful. Many people make mistakes here because they get distracted and jump straight into taxable investment accounts, instead of first using all the tax-advantaged accounts available to them. Now we focus on maximizing your individual retirement account, or IRA. This comes before putting extra money into your employer's 401k. An IRA gives you more control over what you invest in and usually has lower fees than employer retirement plans. Many company 401k plans offer only a small selection of expensive mutual funds with high management fees that slowly reduce your returns. With an IRA, you can invest in low-cost index funds and ETFs that charge very small fees, sometimes only a few basis points, instead of the 1% to 2% fees common in many 401k plans. That small difference in fees may not seem important, but over many years it can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. It's the difference between keeping more of your money or slowly giving it to fund managers. In 2025, you can contribute up to $7,000 to an IRA, or $8,000 if you are 50 or older. The extra amount for people over 50 is called a catch-up contribution, and it helps you save more as you get closer to retirement. After you have fully funded your IRA, you can go back to your employer's 401k and start contributing more than just the amount needed for the match. But now you face an important choice that confuses many people and keeps financial advisors busy. You must decide between traditional and Roth accounts. This choice can save or cost you thousands of dollars in taxes over your lifetime. The main question is simple, but the answer is not easy. Do you want to pay taxes now or later? Traditional accounts allow you to reduce your taxable income today, but you will pay taxes when you take the money out in retirement. Roth accounts require you to pay taxes now, but all the money you withdraw in retirement is completely tax-free. Here is a general rule that works for most people. If you are in a high tax bracket now and expect to be in a lower one in retirement, choose traditional accounts to get the tax savings today. If you are in a lower tax bracket now but expect to be in a higher one later, choose Roth accounts and pay the lower tax rate today. The problem is that no one can predict future tax rates accurately. It's almost like trying to predict the weather 3 months in advance. Young people at the start of their careers should usually choose Roth accounts because they are likely earning less now than they will in the future, and tax rates may increase. People earning their highest income years may benefit more from traditional accounts to reduce their current tax bill. But if you are unsure, splitting your contributions between traditional and Roth accounts gives you tax flexibility and more choices in retirement. If you have access to a health savings account, this is where things get really exciting because HSAs might be the most underused investment accounts in America. They are like the Swiss Army knife of tax-advantaged accounts, offering not one, not two, but 3 different tax benefits that make them incredible for the right people. You get a tax deduction for contributions, just like a traditional IRA. Your money grows tax-free while invested, just like in any retirement account. And here is the part that makes HSAs special. Withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are completely tax-free, even in retirement. It is the only account that gives you tax benefits when you put money in, while it grows, and when you take it out. For 2025, you can contribute up to $4,300 to an HSA if you have individual coverage, or up to $8,550 for family coverage. The catch is that you must have a high-deductible health plan to qualify, which is not right for everyone. If you are young, healthy, and do not have major medical expenses, an HSA can be one of the most powerful retirement accounts available. Here is the strategy that makes HSAs extremely powerful. Pay for your current medical expenses out of your own pocket if you can afford it, and let your HSA money stay invested in the market. Keep all your medical receipts, because there is no time limit for reimbursing yourself for qualified expenses. You could pay for a doctor visit today, keep the receipt, and reimburse yourself from your HSA 20 years later, tax-free. After age 65, HSAs become even more flexible. You can withdraw money for any purpose, not just medical expenses, but you will pay income tax on non-medical withdrawals, just like with a traditional IRA. However, medical expenses in retirement are almost guaranteed, so having a large amount of tax-free money set aside specifically for healthcare costs is like having a secret weapon against one of retirement's biggest financial risks. The math behind HSAs can be impressive. If you max out your HSA contributions for 30 years and earn a 7% annual return, you could have more than $400,000 in completely tax-free money for medical expenses. Considering that the average retired couple today may spend over $300,000 on healthcare during retirement, an HSA can almost remove those costs from your retirement budget. Once you have maximized your HSA contributions, you should go back and max out your 401k contributions beyond the employer match. The 2025 contribution limit is $23,500 for most people, or $31,000 if you are 50 or older. At this stage, you are making strong progress from a tax perspective. Between your IRA, HSA, and 401k, you could potentially protect more than $35,000 each year from current taxes if you are under 50, or even more if you qualify for catch-up contributions. That is a significant amount of money that can grow without the IRS taking a portion every year. Here is something that might surprise you about this process. Most people never reach this stage. The average American saves about 6% of their income, which is usually not enough to fully fund even their employer match and IRA contributions, let alone everything else. But if you are someone who can work through this entire sequence, congratulations. You are already in the top 5% of savers in America, and you are setting yourself up for a retirement that most people only dream about. The great thing about following this optimal order is that each step builds on the previous one, creating a financial foundation that grows stronger over time. Your emergency fund protects you when unexpected events happen. Paying off high-interest debts stops you from losing money to interest payments. Maximizing employer matching gives you guaranteed returns. Tax-advantaged accounts allow more of your money to grow without taxes slowing it down, right? Snorts. But we are not finished yet. Once you have used all these tax-advantaged options, that is when we finally reach the step most people want to start with: taxable investment accounts. And there is a specific strategy for handling this final step that can determine whether you build real wealth or just treat investing like a hobby that sometimes makes money. Taxable investment accounts are like the Wild West of investing. You can buy individual stocks, trade options, invest in cryptocurrency, or simply put money into index funds. There are no contribution limits or withdrawal rules. It is also where many people make their biggest mistakes because they assume that having access to every investment option automatically makes them smarter. Here's what frustrates me about taxable accounts. People get excited about the flexibility and unlimited contributions, but they forget about the impact of taxes. Every dividend payment is taxed. Every time you sell an investment for a profit, the IRS takes a share. It is like running a race while someone keeps throwing sand into your shoes. You can still finish, but it will be much harder than necessary. The tax advantage of keeping money in retirement accounts instead of taxable accounts can be huge over time. For example, if you invest $10,000 each year for 30 years in a tax-advantaged account earning 7%, you could end up with about $944,000 in a taxable account with the same return, but paying taxes on dividends and capital gains along the way, you might end up closer to $700,000. That is nearly a $244,000 difference caused only by taxes. However, taxable accounts become very useful after you have maximized everything else. They offer complete flexibility. Need money for a house down payment in 5 years? No problem. Want to retire early before you can access your retirement accounts? Taxable accounts can provide the money you need. Planning to leave money to your children? Taxable accounts receive a step-up in basis when you pass away, which can remove capital gains taxes completely. So, here it is. The best order for investing your money, which most people ignore because they are in a hurry to get rich quickly. Emergency fund, high-interest debt, employer match, IRA, HSA, max out your 401k, and finally taxable accounts. Follow this order, and you will build wealth while others are trying to guess the next Tesla. Your future self will be grateful that you focused on the basics first. If you want to take control of your money and build real wealth, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.